Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and this is a Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens review. And this has spoilers all over it. If you haven't seen the film, go see the film, then come check out this video. So this video is about Princess Leia Organa, now General Leia Organa. And this was one of my absolute favorite performances in the film. And really, this review is a lot going to be about Carrie Fisher. So I think Carrie Fisher, I absolutely loved her performance in this film. I think it was probably one of the best acting. Daisy Ridley did a fantastic job as well. I think she really it was a stellar performance. But I think it was a more unique portrayal that Carrie Fisher brought. So of course, I'm an absolutely huge fan of Star Wars. And when we talk about Carrie Fisher and when we talk about General Leia Organa and Princess Leia Organa, just the fact that we need to talk about Princess Leia Organa and now General Leia Organa, there's a transition in that character that is really present in the portrayal of Carrie Fisher of the Leia Organa character. But there was actually a transition in the life of Carrie Fisher. So Harrison, so when you talk about the original triad, when you talk about Han, Luke, and Leia, you're talking about Harrison Ford, you're talking about Mark Hamill, and then also you're talking about Carrie Fisher. So with that said, Harrison Ford is commensurate professional. He has had a stellar career in acting, and it is quite arguable that Han Solo is not even his defining role as an actor. Right? It very well could be Indiana Jones. He himself has said that he really likes the Mosquito Coast. Harrison Ford really went very, very far beyond Star Wars, and he's had dozens, maybe over 100 movies. I mean, it's crazy the amount of movies he's done. And so I thought it was really interesting to see what he had really delivered, right? And so it was really fascinating just to see. And then Mark Hamill, he actually really kind of fell into the Luke Skywalker role. And he struggled to go beyond that, right, for quite a few years. And then he found voice acting, and he became a defining voice actor, which I thought was fascinating. He is now considered the preeminent voice of the Joker, which I don't think that's a huge win on his part. He's a great actor. Carrie Fisher on the other side, so she's played Leia Organa. What other major roles has Carrie Fisher played? There's a few, right, but they don't really stand out to a lot of people. And, so she has the most challenge. I think she's had the most challenging time being a Star Wars star, right? And she's, and I've read a lot about all of their lives, and she's really had a mixed bag of it. And not everything from Star Wars was gravy for her. Not everything turned up roses. She's had a challenging life. She's dealt with some major issues. And personally, and really had to struggle at different times, despite the fact that Star Wars was there, kind of as a backdrop. Of course, none of them would never need to worry about unemployment or money. There's always a lot of options for them. So, but she really did struggle. She had a very challenging time. So it was really important to me that Carrie Fisher came back and did this role, right? I really feel like a thank you to Carrie Fisher to do that, because if anybody had a reason to not come back and do these films, it was her. So one of the things that's come out since the new films have come out is the issue of Slave Leia and what that meant for Carrie Fisher in 1983 when that was released, and when in 1982 and 1981 when she was shooting it. Yeah, that's kind of a different thing. There's a lot of history here, right? So one of the things that I was just blown away by with Carrie Fisher in this film, she was just, she really showed that she is a top-notch actress, really takes her craft very, very seriously. And one of the things I thought was all the the varied struggles that she's had to deal with personally, I think were put right into the character. You could see it on screen. Like, she was using some of the pain in her life and some of the struggles in her life. You could see that in her face, in her posture, in her gait. It was powerful. Like it really it touched me. Her performance. I think she emotionally connected with the audience. There is a lot here, right? So, Princess Leia also, she was dealing with one of the most challenging things to show on the screen, and that is a failed relationship with Han Solo. So there's so much here, like I can barely, contain everything I'm thinking about, from Carrie Fisher's portrayal of General Leia Organa. So one of the things that's really fascinating is there's this question now, right? So one of the things I loved about the movie was Star Wars Episode 7, Force Awakens, was it answered 100 questions and it opened up 100 new questions. So here's a question. Were Han Solo and Leia Organa, are they married in canon? We're never told that they were married. They have a son. That doesn't necessarily mean they were married. I certainly hope they were married. I mean, it makes sense they would have been married, but it's not there. They didn't say it explicitly, and I'm trying to be respectful of canon. I'm trying to do my best to understand canon. I think it's important to try to understand where these characters are at and what their choices mean, right? So I thought that was really interesting. And so we see this huge scene where Han Solo meets General Leia Organa again, and there's just so much weight and freight that's dealt with in this scene. And you could see that, Leia Organa is just not, she's not overjoyed. There's not a big kiss. There's not, oh, Han Solo, it's great to see you again. It's almost like, we had some times together. Those times are over. We now have a son together. It's clear she loves him, right? But it's not clear that he's the main love of her life anymore, right? And there's just a bittersweet sadness in that was masterfully portrayed by Carrie Fisher. And honestly, she didn't need to return to do this film if she didn't want to. And she had reasons why she could have legitimately said no. And so I'm really thankful to her that she came back, because I don't take that for granted, and I really appreciate that she's like, these people were my fan in the 70s and the 80s. When the films were coming out, they're my fans now. I want to help create this, right? So I think there was a bit of selflessness there in her doing this role, and it was just really touching. And I think her role, her portrayal of Leia Organa was one of the most nuanced piece of acting in what is a smorgasbord of phenomenal acting. Like, this was an extremely well acted film, and Carrie Fisher is there. I also really feel like I'm kind of excited too. Like, most of my reviews here, I'm talking about a lot of characters, and most of the time I make a note or two about the actor or actress. And I really feel that Carrie Fisher's presence here is a huge part of what makes Star Wars. This would not have, I don't think this would have nearly been, it would have been a gaping hole if she had said no. And to do in the films. And she did it, and I really appreciate that. And also, I'm kind of excited about, what did Daisy Ridley learn from her from being on the set? What did some of the other young actors like Oscar Isaacs, what did some of these other young actors and actresses learn from her being there? Because she has a lot of, I think she has years of experience, and I think maybe she's accrued some wisdom, at this point. And I'm excited about her presence there, and maybe her ability to give some of that to some of the other actors and actresses. So it was just it was really special for me to see her on camera and to see what a great job she did. I'm curious if she's going, so at this point, of course, Han Solo is out of the out of the new trilogy, and then episode 7, 8, and 9. I'm really curious what they're going to do with her in the next films. It's really challenging to see. Of course, I would love to see more about General Leia Organa's relationship with Luke Skywalker, her brother, and how that folds out. Just really, really powerful performance. And now, one of the other things I really liked about General Leia Organa in Star Wars Episode 7 was that she was a military leader of the resistance, right? And what was really unique too is she was a military leader, she was actually a diplomatic leader of the rebellion, and now she's transitioned into a military leader of the resistance. So this one character has spanned the divide, and one of the things one of my absolute favorite scenes in the entire film is when they leave Mats Kanata's pirate bar, which has been destroyed, and they go to this other planet, and all the resistance leaders are there. So you see Snap Wexley, you see Admiral Statora, you see Lieutenant Connix, you see General Leia Organa. General Leia Organa has this scene with Finn where she's saying, "Hey, we're going to help you," and so there's like this really touching moment of, "Hey, we're going. I understand you need help finding Rey, but we need information." And so one of the things I thought was great was just seeing this is how a leader continues to move forward with her goals, but also shows respect and also help someone at the same time. That can be really challenging because a lot of times it looks like a ploy, or it looks like I'm going to do this just so we get past your thing and I can get my thing. And that's the other thing is I really feel General Leia Organa in all the films does the heavy lifting. I really feel like it is easy to go around swinging a lightsaber and easy to shoot people with your freighter guns, but creating alliances and leading people and dealing with the burden of leadership and standing as a figure that everyone looks to all the time, where you can't really show any cracks in the facade, that's challenging. And Carrie Fisher does a fantastic job of portraying General Leia Organa, and General Leia Organa is a wonderful character, just showing a leadership perspective. So a leader as part of the resistance, right? And so I thought that was really interesting. It's a continuation of her as a leader from the old days into the new days, and it was just really fascinating to see. I really thought it was just a really wonderful performance, just great. And so we get to see her in her role as a new leader. The other thing is we get to see her, so we see her as resistance leader, we see her as a partner in a failed relationship with Han Solo, and we see her as a mother, right? And I think that's the part that was suppressed most by General Leia Organa, is she desperately misses Ben Organa, her son, who has now turned into Kylo Ren. And it just like when I'm watching the film, I can see exactly what happened with Kylo Ren, where I'm sure Ben Organa was like, "Hey, tell me about my granddad, Anakin Skywalker." And how there was probably a silence, or there were maybe some lies from Leia Organa or Han Solo when it came to talking about Anakin and talking about Darth Vader and talking about, oh, your grandfather just happened to be like a Sith apprentice and one of the most baddest, evilest villains in all of the Star Wars universe. How do you deal with that, And it's super clear to me, right, that Han was probably not carrying a lot of that load, right? I think Leia Organa was carrying that load, carrying that burden, and the weight just weighs upon her. And when you see General Leia Organa in the films, you can see the weight of all of it: the weight of the Resistance, the weight of her missing son, the weight of being a Force user but not going down the road of being a Jedi. How many choices did General Leia Organa have to make? It's staggering. Like, her character is so complex and so nuanced, and there's so much rolled into that character. And Carrie Fisher had to carry all of that. She had to, and I thought she did it. Like, and even the transition of I'm General Leia Organa, right? And we get to see her when Poe and Finn are coming back, and there's all kinds of computer displays around. You're seeing all of that, right? But what happens then at the end of the film? You have to see General Leia Organa deal with the death of Han Solo, and there's no time to cry. There's no time to weep and just lose it and crack like an egg. She's there, And even more than that, what blew me away was in the end of the film, General Leia Organa has kind of, has you don't see the general fatigues anymore. You don't see the military uniform. You see an elegant, dress, and her hair is done up, and she looks like a princess. And I think, and that's the thing. Leia Organa is always what the resistance needs, always what the rebellion needs, always what the people around her need her to be. And it's just, it's such a deep character, and it took a powerful, nuanced, experienced, fantastic actress to portray it, and you get all of it. You get a great character, you get a great actress, you get a great portrayal. I was really blown away with the acting skills of Carrie Fisher in here, and her choice to return to the franchise, which is, it's not easy. I mean, I definitely understand a lot of the problems. Everybody sees the good parts of it, but when you look at Carrie Fisher, you can see some of the bad parts and how she had to deal with different things in the film than other people had to deal with. So it's and I could just go on and on and on about Leia Organa, and I think I might another time I might break out some additional notes on her. She is part of the original triad. One of the things that that I've been wondering as I just think about the film is who is the new Leia. I think it's really clear that Rey is the new Luke. Is Finn the new Leia? I don't think there's any way that Poe is going to be the new Leia. He's too much of a killer, too much of a soldier. And the other thing is there may be no replacement for Leia in the new triad of Poe, Rey, Finn. Which is really fascinating. And also I also it's just there's a lot there, and I'm going to continue to think about Leia, General Leia Organa, her transition from Princess Leia Organa, a woman who's lost her entire homeworld, a woman who has just lost so much, lost her entire homeworld, lost her either husband or partner Han Solo, lost him in their relationship when their relationship failed, lost him when he died, and lost her son, right? All this loss, right? And yet General Leia Organa continues forward, continues serving the resistance. Her loyalty never wavers, and you're kind of like, is she the strongest of the three? Is she the strongest of Luke, Han, and Leia? She may absolutely be the strongest of the original triad, which is just, that's bonkers. The idea of you have a Jedi and you have this legendary smuggler, and really they're not even the strongest characters. Princess Leia Organa transitioning into General Leia Organa, that may be the strongest character there. So it's staggering. Just what a great character and what a great portrayal we're dealing with, and I just really. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens, is such a much richer film because Carrie Fisher took the role, and because General Leia Organa was handled masterfully in the writing, handled masterfully in the acting, and also was created originally as a masterful character by George Lucas. It's really, really fantastic character. General Leia Organa, just a fantastic character.